Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Pastor Walter Moss. He is with SERVE, the Community Initiative to Reduce Violence. That's CIRV.
Right.
But also a very much into SERVE-ing people in this community. How did this all come about? I've known you in many different capacities in our community, always active, always very active in our pro-life efforts, and we just appreciate you so much, and your wife Darlene. And how did SERVE come about?
Well, SERVE started many years ago, and I was a part of the committee that helped to get it started. I was on the community team, and then it was a Canton City project. And then they ran out of money, and it kind of was just sitting there, not doing anything. We didn't have a director. But we met quarterly, our committee, and then maybe 2 years later, we had the state criminal justice came to us and said, hey, if you all want to get the SERVE started back up, we have money for a director for a year. And so we got the money. We got the project going. They interviewed some people. They interviewed at least 8 people, and then they called me and said, hey, why don't you put your hat in the ring? And I did, and I got the job, and
Perfect.
It's been 4 years now.
Wow.
So started back up November 2013.
What's the relationship with the courts? How does this work hand in hand?
Well, we work with all the courts because there are individuals involved who have gone through the court system or are on probation or parole, and so we communicate with the judges. We let them know how the individual's doing. We may need to bring that individual back in because they may be gang related, and that's a no-no. But we say that these individuals are good people because they can help us spread the message back into the community. And so we try to give them a positive message and to help them change their life and lifestyle.
What is the gang situation in our community right now?
Well,
how many? How involved?
We have about 12 gangs, but we probably have 4 that are more dominant, violent than the others.
That's kind of my next question. Often gangs are a group of people who they're really, in absence of family, need family. And they have found family in this group of friends. Are all gangs inherently violent, or are there just some that practice more violence than others?
Yeah, some practice more than others, and a lot of it has to do with their makeup. The 2 gangs that we have in Canton that have been violent because 6 years ago a little girl got shot and paralyzed, and one gang said that they know who it was. It was another gang member. And so over 6 years now, if you trace back most of the gun violence in Canton, you'll find it's between those 2 gangs.
So there is kind of some gang warfare between those two.
Yes, and these are retaliation. And they've shot others. Some others have been killed, and there are some in jail because of these shootings.
Is it possible to leave a gang? I've heard no. I've heard that you can't just quit.
Right. Well, that's the street word there, but I would say yes. But what probably they would tell you is that they just are not active anymore. They're in the community, but they're not doing that.
They're sustaining members of the
Right. Right.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
What are we doing with the gangs? How do you work with them? Because no one's going to admit, oh yeah, I'm in this gang.
Right. It's illegal to be in a criminal gang. Well.
Right.
What we do is through the police. If there's a lot of shootings, and we know that some of the gang members are a part, then the police can do what we call enforcement, and they can pick up all, let's say, rated R. They can pick up all of rated R, and they don't like that because some of them may be holding warrants for something else. They can't keep them for a long time, but they can talk to them, and the gangs don't like that. So what usually happens after they do a pickup or enforcement part, then it gets quiet for a little bit. And that, so, yeah.
What age group are we talking about for young people?
Well, unfortunately, young, 12, 11, on up. I've seen some gang videos in Stark County and Canton, and I've seen kids 9, 8, 7 years old with the gangs.
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
they're probably family members,
Older brothers.
And the gangs are holding whiskey, guns, white, black, Hispanic kids, mostly young people in the age group, mainly in their 20s. And so, we have active gangs, and we can probably put a lot of the violence, shootings, the majority of them are probably gang-related.
You do work with so many of the great organizations that have been set up in the urban area to actually serve some of the young people and families that live there. I'm thinking of the Martin Center, Tikva, some of these great organizations that are working with kids. What's the relationship that you have as SERV with something like the Martin Center?
Well, that's awesome that you asked. That's a great question because I work with any and everybody because it's our community.
Yeah.
And anything that we can do to help, Terry, the director there at the Martin Center, had worked with us more closer than we have now. But we work with everybody because this is all of our village. This is where we all live.
Right.
And so, we work with a myriad of organizations. Some stay apart and some we don't hear from anymore, but that's okay because we're all working together for the betterment of Stark County and Canton.
It's a team effort, isn't it?
Yes.
What do we do? I know there's some praying grandmothers who are organizing rallies regularly, some very activist, I would say, grandmothers who say enough's enough. We've got to get together, come together. What do we do? How do you say to somebody, stop it?
Wow. Well, you know what? That's what we need. Matter of fact, because I went to a couple gang trials, and one of the trials, a mother was in there crying, and she it was during a break, and she asked the judge, could she speak to her son after she heard the same evidence that I heard that he was guilty, but he had pleaded not guilty, and he was looking at a not guilty. He pleaded not guilty, but to be found guilty, he was looking at 40-year sentence.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, because she wouldn't talk to him, he did agree to a plea deal that he had turned down earlier, and he ended up getting 30 years.
Oh, that's better than 40.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so,
but there's a lifetime spent in prison.
Yeah.
What does that do to a family when someone is incarcerated?
Oh, it hurts, but I think that, one or two things: either that family's going to get stronger, they're going to change, or they're going to continue on the same road that they're on.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Many churches in the area have prison ministry.
Right.
What can we do for people, members of our community, who have messed up and have been found guilty and are in prison? Can't just forget about them, can we?
No.
What do we do, and how does this help serve, and how does this help reduce violence?
Supporting them when they get out of prison. We have some things set up to assist them when they get out of prison.
What kinds of things?
There's a citizen circle group that meets once a month that I'm a part of. It's a reentry program, and they could come to that group and say, hey, this is what I need, this is what I'm doing. And then the group can make recommendations to them. And I found that to be very positive. Do
you ever use people who have, say, served time for doing a violent act to talk to young people?
Yes.
Here's why I'm thinking this. One of my favorite movies of all time, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh.
And, when he's saying, if I could just go back and talk to myself, and I would say to that stupid young kid, and he goes through everything that he would say, Morgan Freeman's just awesome. So anyway, What do we do? Do we do something like that? Because I think that would be very powerful to have an old guy come in and say, I was just where you are.
Yes, definitely.
What's the response?
Well, I think it's positive, but I think we need more of that. Yeah. And in some cases, it's been hard for some of the guys who have had a felon to even go back and to do that in some of the schools because of their policies. But I think it's definitely needed.
What about, because they've been a felon, then they can't get into a school?
Right, yeah, because of the rules. Yeah.
However, wouldn't that be very effective, as you say, and powerful? They would have the message for those young people.
Right, but what we find, too, is we try to find other venues that we can get some of those same kids, and it's not at the school property and get a chance to talk to them.
Do kids have role models anymore?
Some.
Who are the role models these days?
Well, for a lot of our kids, as you know, if it's not their parents, their dad, it's LeBron James.
Athletes.
Athletes, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a chance to speak with 14 basketball players. McKinley's freshman basketball team, and that was one of the things I wanted to tell them, that not all of you are going to make it be pro.
Yeah.
And so I said, that's why it's important that you get your education now.
That's devastating news to a lot of kids, because they're counting on it.
Right. But, I told them, I gave them my story. I played football. I had a scholarship to Ohio U, but I didn't play my senior year. And you know what? It was awesome, because I was in the ministry, and I was happy, and I graduated in 4 years. And I told them that was a valuable scholarship, because I got my degree.
Mm-hmm. You must have a tremendous impact walking into a room. I don't know if you've been told this before, but you command a presence when you walk into a room. And what are the kids' response? I'm sure they listen to what you have to say.
I was really blessed. About 5 of them came up to hug me and shake my hand after.
Yeah.
And that touched me. Mm-hmm. So it made me know that they heard what I said. And I wanted them to know I support them. I gave them my serve card. I said, if you have any issues whatsoever, please call me.
Is that one of the things that, as the head of Serve, you are happy and willing to do?
Yes.
If someone's hearing you now saying,
yes.
I'd love to have him come talk to our kids.
Yes, I'd love to do that.
How do we reach you again?
330-309-2900, 330-309-2900.
Okay. And what do you find that in years to come, like right now, when you kind of do a little vision casting, 5 years, where would you like to see us, and how do we get from where we are now to that vision?
Wow, since we just celebrated Martin Luther King holiday, my heart is beyond the dream that we would take responsibility for our communicating better with each other, doing things together with each other, and hearing each other more than we have in the past. Mm-hmm. Nobody has to compromise your beliefs, but just saying, hey, I want to get to know this person. They're different than me, but let's get together. Our whole common cause and purpose is we all live here.
Yes.
And let's make this the best community that we can while we have the opportunity.
Kind of a matter of trust, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you see, where are we on the trust meter?
Wow, we're below where we need to be.
Yeah. What can we do to change that?
Well, things like what we're doing today, talking about it, communicating. And that's why I say it's so vital that we talk with our youth about these issues and let them get into the conversation and help them to guide, because we say they're the answers, the leaders for tomorrow, but really they're leaders right now. Mm-hmm. And so we need to get them involved in this.
Something, I don't know, I'm seeing our time is up. So, okay, here we go. We've got to have you come back, because I've got to ask you something else very, very, very important. So, Pastor Walt, will you come back? Promise.
Of course I will.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everything you do in our community.
Hey, you're welcome.